Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 139. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zaberwolf. We're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. Full spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, maybe check back in with us when you've checked it out. We're going to be talking about all of the news from San Diego Comic-Con, Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, and much more. We've also got HOTD episode 6 to go through, and any other nerdy news in between. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a like on the video, and if you're watching us on a replay, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. Without further ado, here we go. Yo,
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
what's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm happy. The last couple of weeks on this cast have just been grim. Just been us kind of talking shit about Star Wars for weeks, and just like it's been tough, you know. Whereas I feel like as a nerd this week we've had a lot of fun. You know, it feels good. It feels good.
Oh,
How
yeah.
are you? How was your week?
Week was fine. Took way too much caffeine this week, and I could feel it. I was like, oh god, I was so tired throughout. By the time the weekend hit, I was so damn tired. I barely did anything on Friday.
And would you be drinking a lot of caffeine for work, and then like weekend comes and you don't need it, sort of thing? So you kind of crash. Is that it, or?
Yeah, essentially. Which I need to stop doing. I need to kind of like, balance it out a bit more. Sometimes I overdo it, and sometimes I find the perfect balance for it. But I mean, I'm feeling fantastic today. I'm hoping to feel much better tomorrow. I'm gonna try my best to like just take it easy, stop going ham on the caffeine, because sometimes I just do like go way too hard.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee, but I drink a lot of like black tea, which I believe has almost as much caffeine as tea as coffee does. But I think coffee just has that kind of, it's a different kind of vibe to it. It's got that addiction. It's got that addiction vibe and everything. And I don't know. It's just something that I don't like. I don't even like the smell of it. I don't like the taste of it. So I'm kind of like, I'm not even going to try and like this stuff, because I just like, if I can get on without it, I'm happy to. I kind of feel like I'm a bit blessed that I don't need it to operate, because like I know, like when I used to work in an office, so many people would be like, be like 10, 20 past 9, and people are just like, I need a coffee or I can't even start my day, like sort of thing. Like, and it's just, I'm like, oh, I don't want to feel that like reliance on coffee, you know?
Right. So I bought during Prime Day, I bought a treadmill, which I think I'm going to use during my, like, instead of actually resting during my breaks for lunch at work, I'm just going to hit the treadmill. I'm just going to get my blood pumping, because like, like working at home seems to really have a downside to my health. And so like, if I can at least get 45 minutes to an hour before I need to hop back on, I feel like I'm going to be much healthier as time goes on. Maybe jump back on again, like after work or something, just for another 30, 45 minutes. Cause like my motor skills are good. It's just my stamina has dropped drastically since I've worked from home.
You can build it up. It just takes a bit of dedication, but yeah, you can build it back up easily. My missus just got one of those electric standing desks, so she's going to get a little treadmill to go underneath, and she's going to start walking while she's working.
Those things are all the rage now. Like,
yeah, dude, I want
so
one.
tiny.
I want one. Little fold out one, and when you're working from home, you can just like answer tickets and just be walking. Yeah, it'd be so easy to get your like 10,000 steps in a day. I feel like I could probably, I haven't tried it yet, but I have a feeling that like I think I could easily maybe smash out 15, 20,000 steps a day if you're just standing on a treadmill like while you're working.
See, and if I had one of those desks that like rise up,
and
had that treadmill, literally I could even go to meetings like that.
Yeah, you could be talking right now on the podcast. Getting a brisk walk in while we break all this shit down. It'd be fucking great, dude.
Oh yeah.
I'd love it. Yeah, look, we got a good bit to go through, so I think we should just kind of crack in. What do you think order-wise? What you want to talk about first?
Let's start from like the things that we've seen. So like, okay, let's pull that back. Let's start from shows, and then we'll go into like news.
Okay. So really, we only have like HOTD to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of over. Like the podcast for the last couple of episodes, maybe 6 or 8 episodes, have just been like jam-packed full of TV, which I'm not complaining about, but it's like hard to make the thumbnails and stuff. And even I found this week when I was making the thumbnail for this, it was just like shit. There's like fucking Deadpool, we got fucking Hot D, we got like Robert Downey Jr. Like I was like, there's so much shit going on. So it's going to be nice just to have kind of one topic to talk about going forward. I know, and when there's nothing to talk about, I'll be praying that we have loads of stuff again. But it's just funny how it works out. Yeah, look, we'll talk about Hot D first. Again, to anybody that's listening to us, we do this on a Sunday night. The new episode of Hot D is probably a couple of hours away, but unfortunately, just with the way our schedules are, this is just how it has to be. So we're talking about last week's episode, so don't worry, you're not going to get any spoilers. We haven't seen anything before anybody else, so yeah, but there will be absolutely spoilers for the Deadpool talk, and yeah, we'll kind of get into the big speculation stuff around SDCC and stuff like that. So anybody who's here in the chat with us, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Sharky. Kate popped into the chat last night. Welcome to the stream. I did a stream last night of the San Diego Comic-Con stuff. I was just live on this channel, just kind of hanging out. And it was a good little stream. I'm going to try and do it more because it was definitely beneficial. We got a couple of new subscribers and made some new friends, so it was great. So yeah, Hot D, last week's episode. I don't know if I'm trying to remember now. Again, it's I always find it kind of hard to talk about this show because again, it's like 6 days since I watched it, but I could have sworn when we sat down last, I pretty much predicted exactly what was going to happen. They were going to get like somebody in to potentially try and become a dragon rider, and he was just going to die horribly. It was just going to go terribly wrong. And
of course,
I felt so sorry for this poor dude who like rocked up and he's like, "Yes, my queen, I will, you know, I'll happily do it for you." And you find out that he's like his grandmother's grandmother was half Targaryen or something. I was like, this fucker has like a couple of like drops of blood in the system. Like, I was like, the lineage is nothing. I'm like, this poor bastard's gonna get destroyed. And then obviously, yes, it happens. He just gets absolutely blown away by the dragon. Like, I just thought it was so funny.
And it was just so fucking stupid though. The fact, like, even Katie and I were sitting there, we're like, get on the fucking dragon.
Yeah,
get
just
on
jump,
the
bro.
And he's like, and he stands there, he's like, I did it. And it's like, no, you didn't, dude. You got to get on him first.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what you want to call them, but like they're like the kind of like the keepers of the dragons or whatever, the tamers, like where they're just like, do not be scared, and he's kind of just sitting there just going, oh god, and he just kind of freezes and stands there. I'm like, he's dead, bro, he's done. Yeah, I thought that was very funny.
The priests, like they're hardcore. As soon as they got burnt, they're like, fuck this.
Yeah, they're see you later. Yeah, it's like we know that's it, like it's done. Dragonfire is just the end. Damon, more dreams. Sharky, look, don't like best. It's the worst. I hate it so much, man. It's so slow though. Like 2 weeks ago, I was listening back on one of our casts from a couple of weeks ago, and I was giving out about the pacing of it weeks ago, and we're still there. Like, it's kind of just like, come on, dude. Like, I understand he's kind of, you know, I don't understand how he's living in that castle and he's not like realizing, or he's just, you know, I'd be going up to that witch straight away, like, get the fuck out of my head, stop poisoning me with all this crap. You know what I mean? Like, I've got shit to do. Like, you know what I mean? Stop fucking with me, please. Like, we're trying to win a war here, you know? And she's just a menace. Like, it's just, I think it's hilarious. I'm just like, how does he not know it's her? Or if he does, why is he not doing anything about it, or even saying it to her? Like, can you please stop poisoning the wine? I'm trying to eat my dinner. Like, you know?
Well, then he finally did. And she's like, dude, like, it's the castle. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, your bed's made from one of the trees, bro. What are you talking about? I'm not doing anything. Whereas, like, she's making him drinks with like blood and all in it. It's like, bro.
But it is cool. Like, it shows how much power some of the people that don't necessarily speak around the place have. You know, it shows that, like, it also shows that Damon really needs someone to help him with the tactical parts, because he's definitely not like a tactician. He doesn't know how to like play the field. He very much is like, just fucking go for it. And look how much trouble it causes. Even when he was trying to get the Blackwoods and I can't remember what the other guys are named. Basically like causing trouble with there, and then causing basically not a betrayal, but like an uprising, essentially. They're like, yeah, we found out that you fucked us over, so we're not going to fuck with you anymore. Like, it's over. And then, so like, he's, you know, he talks to the lady and she's like, just stay here, just wait 3 days, it'll be fine. Yeah. Literally later on, like, that the old dude just passes away, and he's like, oh shit, that lady. Yeah, that
Here we
lady.
go. Yeah. Yeah, look, and again, I don't mind the story. I just feel like I feel like it's slow and I feel like it's filler. You know what I mean? If this had happened in the space of like 10 minutes of cut up scenes over 2 episodes, I'd be like, okay, cool. But like, he's been in that castle. This has been going on for half of the season, maybe more. You know what I mean? Like tonight is the second last episode, and then we have one new episode next week as well. So it's like there's not a lot left in the season. Realistically, the show's going to be gone for at least a year after we finish it. It's like, come on, bro, let's get going here. You know what I mean? I don't want the season to end with him jumping on his dragon and flying off that castle. Like, I'll just be like, Jesus, we were there for the whole season. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I think people will be pissed if that happens.
I think so too. Aemond sitting on the throne was pretty cool, and Alicent trying to talk him down, trying to kind of, basically, I don't know, like was she trying to like kind of humanize him a little bit because he's like just so psychotic, and he's basically just like, get off the council, you're done, like, you know what I mean? We don't need you anymore. That was
right.
brutal. That was brutal. Like, that was crazy. Yeah, it was cool. I loved it.
And the idea behind this too is like it's kind of like a story. Like if you take it into consideration, we know that Aemon's not gonna like go through this well. He's probably not gonna reign for too much longer. It seems like it's gonna be the same situation with Aegon with Aemond. Like he's gonna get caught up in something. He's gonna get fucked over. Something's gonna happen because like it shows how much Alicent's kids just don't listen to her, even though she's trying to give sound advice as to like how to actually rule. And it's just like, if they're not listening and they want to be arrogant as such, and they feel like they can rule and also like take head on the battlefield, it's like, dude, you can't, like, you have to be here. You have to take care of things, and you have to shut your mouth and listen to the people that are wiser than you.
Yeah.
And you see that, like, although Otto Hightower hasn't been found yet, like it's not a good idea to bring him back, because Laris essentially wanted to continue to ascend, and you see that because like later on you find out that like Laris is gonna start working against the council, or Aemond himself.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting, bro. Like, I really, again, some parts of it are slow, but I think overall it's a good series, and I'm just, it's one of those ones where it's like every week we're like one step closer to the end, and I just don't want it to end. I want to just keep going. I kind of feel like I think I'm probably going to rewatch the whole season, like try and binge it in maybe 2 or 3 sittings after the fact, and just see how it flows as a proper watch. Because when I went back and rewatched season 1, it flowed a lot better, and as a bingeable series, I think it just worked better. Whereas I know, like, on a second watch through, this stuff with Damon and the castle isn't going to annoy me as much, because again, I'm going to, sit on my couch, and after 3 hours, I'll be kind of done with it. You know what I mean? So it just won't feel like it's weeks and weeks of them just sitting there. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. The half Targaryen dude as well. Like I liked all the stuff that's going on in King's Landing. You know, like the way they're kind of, everyone's getting uneasy, and then what's her Rhaenyra like decides that, like, I'm the one who cut off the food supply into King's Landing, but what I'll do is I'll send a couple of ships in, and now everyone's going to think I'm the hero. Like, and it's so funny because it's like she's the one who like stopped their food coming in the first place, but then she feeds them a little bit, and now it's like Queen Rhaenyra. Everyone's just like, because they've got a couple of loaves of bread now, everyone's just like, fuck yeah, we need the Black Queen. I just thought, like, that is absolutely genius, bro.
It's fucking brilliant. Like it's one of those moments where you realize, like, if they got enough power to take all the food and then just like repurpose it, it's so fucking cool. Like, especially when you see the scene where everybody's now getting a little bit of food here and there, and then you see the half Targaryen like punch the guy. He's like, I'll take that. Like,
yeah.
But like it shows how much Aemon doesn't necessarily understand how important it is to make sure that the people are also happy, because then you're fighting a war on 2 fronts.
Exactly. And
he
even says it as well. Like, they're like, oh, the people are starting to riot or whatever, and he's like, what if they got to be unhappy about it? It's like, well, they've no food. And he's like, all right. Like, he lives in such a different world. Like, it's hilarious. But that's obviously a big part of being a king, is that you take care of the people, and they are like, even I like the scene where they're in the bar and they're talking, you know, and then you kind of get a notion that it's like, oh shit, all these people that are in the bar here are actually Rhaenyra followers. They just, you know, are too afraid to say it, but you know, a few drinks on board and they're all think that they're in a safe space. They're kind of just they're all kind of like, you know, the queen that should have been sort of thing, like, you know. So, and then obviously we found out in that episode that your man is Rhaenys's half brother. Was that the connection? I can't remember. I think like he's like he's Damon's half brother and stuff, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
The guy in the pub?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because he's considered a bastard, so
yeah,
I think that sounds about right.
But I think he shares a parent with like Viserys, I believe.
Well, if it's Viserys, then it'd be Rhaenyra's.
Yeah, maybe
it'd be Rhaenyra's brother.
Yeah. Okay. these incest bastards. It's like it's so hard to follow the fucking the family lines.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, he did it. He mentioned he was like a half brother to one of them, to one of the royalty. So like he's the one who's going to ride the dragon. Like I can see it coming a mile away. Like, you know what I mean? They're going to find him, and they're going to be like, okay, this guy like has very kind of fresh lineage into the family, fresh blood, and
right.
They're going to get him on the back of a dragon, 100%.
Well, which is the one that managed to ride the new dragon? I can't remember the dragon's name, but like he essentially was like out and about, and then the dragon followed him.
Oh yeah. So wasn't he a bastard of Rhaenys' husband? What's the guy, the Lord of the Tides? What's his name?
The Valerian guy?
Yeah. We find out that him and the bald guy are both brothers, and they're both bastard sons to him. Because he was like shaving, you know, the way he was shaving his head, and he's got the white hair coming through and stuff. So he's obviously like hiding the fact that he's a bastard.
Yeah. Corlys is the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an interesting story as well. Yeah, it's all kind of coming together.
Adam.
I don't know.
Adam, that's his name.
I don't know if you felt the same way, but I always kind of felt coming into the end of season 1, start of season 2, I always thought that like Rhaenys was like easily going to lose. Like I thought like she was like it was just a matter of time before she got wiped out. And as this season's going on now, I'm kind of thinking like, shit, they could do it. You know, I'm like rooting for them now. I'm Team Black all the way. I think they're going to do it.
I mean, they deserve it. They're like, it doesn't matter if they sired bastards at this point. It's Rhaenyra's time to rule, and they just wanted to take over because they had, you know, Aemond, Aegon, and, you know, the other. I always forget the third one because he's not in the castle. He's away with other relatives, from what I remember.
I'd completely forgotten there was like a third son.
Yeah, because you never see him, which makes sense. But I'm not sure why they have him put away. I'm not sure if it's for like, you know, separation reasons. You know, you don't want to have. It's kind of like when you see royalty, they fly in different airplanes because they can't have all of them, you know, together in one spot. Because if the plane goes down, then of course, then we lose all of them. So. But yeah, like I think Rhaenyra has a really good shot, especially after the food situation. She's basically won the hearts of the peasants, and they see that she's pretty much someone who could rule. But in my head, I'm wondering, I'm like, do they have any coin? Like, are they going to have money by the time they get back in? Because it seems like they're outside. They're not getting. I don't know where they're getting their money from, but like, you know, it seems like with what they're doing right now inside the keep, they're also like bleeding themselves dry. So when Rhaenyra gets in, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know how that whole side of it works, because it feels like Rhaenyra has a lot of coin on her side anyway. Like, how is she filling boats full of food and sending them over? And you know what I mean? Like, even the amount of dragons that they have like, what do they have, like 3 times, 4 times as many dragons as the Greens? And you see the struggle that the Greens go through to feed the dragons that they have. Now I know they have Vhagar, who's the biggest, but you know, even still, like I would presume the biggest dragon would still not eat as much as like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or however many that the black side have, and they have more coming as well.
Yeah, it's possible that that's the case, but at the same time, like Rhaenyra has like the entire outside area. She, all the people, all the greens have just kind of like the keep. It doesn't seem like they have very
Yeah.
much outreach, so that's why they're asking you so much of the people, and then essentially driving them away because they're not listening to what they need.
Yeah, yeah. Shaki's like saying that all the dragons don't have riders, which is part of the problem. I think my prediction is by the end of the season, we're going to get this really cool scene where we're going to have like, maybe 4 or 5 new riders, and, the bunch of dragons are just going to fly up into the air, and it's like off to King's Landing to kill Vhagar.
Mhm.
That'll be kind of where it's going to go, I think. Which sounds fucking epic.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. And I was kind of hoping that we were going to get Aemond versus Daemon this season, but I think they're going to hold that off till next season now at this stage. It just wouldn't really make sense for them to square off now at this stage. There hasn't been enough of a build up in my opinion.
Maybe not, but at the same time, like you're basically saying that we're gonna see him take off at the last episode, and then you're gonna be all pissed.
yeah. Yeah, I want Daemon is like my favorite character in the show, and I just feel like Matt Smith, incredible actor. I just feel like he's being wasted this season. He had such an incredible season 1. And I really, really feel like they're just kind of wasting him this season. And
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's that much going on with him. Like I know he's like trying to usurp the throne himself, and it's kind of like he's throwing in like a third scenario into the mix, and it is interesting, but at the same time, it's like it just feels like it's very slowly paced, and just not a lot is happening. I feel like there's a lot more happening in the green and black camp than there is in Damon's third camp.
Right, but all I remember in the first season was that he tried to seduce Rhaenyra early, and then basically went to war. We never really heard him speak that often. This is the first season that I've actually heard him speak a lot, and actually like speak his mind, and actually take the time to like learn who he is and what kind of person he believes himself to be, seeing that he has complexes here and there. I really like it. I'm on the opposite end of you, man. Like I don't think it's like, I don't see it as filler. Like this probably canon, unless it's not, unless they've added a sprinkle of stuff here and there, which is possible, which more likely true. But other than that, like I just feel like it works out. Like it really shows how Daemon can't handle things on his own, even though he thinks he can, because he's not a tactician. He's not a thoughtful person. He's a warrior. He knows the best way to kill someone, but he doesn't know how to get to them before killing them.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I find like when we first meet Daemon, like he's like he's the head of the King's Watch and stuff like that, and he's just acting the bollocks in the streets, and he was always getting in trouble with his series and stuff. And then he goes off and marries what's her name, the Lord of the Sea's daughter, and he's acting the maggot there, and then he wins that big battle and stuff. Like it feels like there's a lot more going on, and then he's always kind of coming back into King's Land and starting shit with the king, and ends up like taking his daughter and all this bad shit, like, and all. I just kind of felt like he had a lot more to do in the first season, but
yeah, because he actually had shit to do, because he wasn't trying to rule. He was just doing as he was told and being a bitch about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And so now, like
Marvel, welcome back, dude. What's up?
What's going on, Marvel? But like essentially, like he's trying to do it on his own, and so he's like his mind's going insane because he doesn't he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He really doesn't. He's trying so hard to do it on his own, but it's not going to work out. I think eventually he's going to go back to Rhaenyra and be like, fine. I can't do it. Like literally, he's fucking up. There's nobody to help him. The only people there are like Strong, and even then Strong is like, you could just rest here. There's not really much I can do. This place is kind of fucked up, and that's all we can do. And Daemon's trying to do everything on his own, and it's like, and you could see the moment that we see that lady, I can't remember her name. Is it Alice?
Who is it, sorry?
The lady that the witch. Well, we don't know if she's a witch yet. We just know that she does shit.
Yeah, she's doing some spooky shit. I'm gonna call her a witch. I think it's pretty safe to call her a witch.
It's fine. It's normal stuff.
It's normal. Yeah, it's fine. It's the tree doing all this shit. It's not her.
It's not her at all. No, yeah, Alice Rivers. Thank you, Griff. It really, like, it shows how if he would just listen to the people around him and try to do things to better the crowd rather than his own ideals, that eventually he will get there. But he doesn't know how to do that. So he's just fucked. He's fucked every which way. And when he comes back with his tail behind his legs with Rhaenyra, because he hasn't done shit, he's gonna realize, oh fuck, like I just have to be with her. I just have to do this if I want to be anywhere near the throne.
Yeah. It seems like a losing battle. But again, I thought Rhaenyra's claim was going to be a losing battle as well. So maybe it's going to turn around that like Damon's going to have the best claim by the end of it. I don't really know. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's taken a bit of a 90-degree turn from where I thought the show was going to go at the end of season 1, like throughout this season. So yeah, look, anything could happen, and that's what makes the show great. Griff, what's happening, dude? I hope you're doing good. Marvel Maniac put this comment in, and honestly, I just want to dive straight into Deadpool after reading it. Like, anyone who may be listening to this who hasn't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, we're gonna go fucking hard into spoilers right now. I want to talk about the whole thing. I haven't actually publicly spoke about the movie at all. I've been trying to kind of be civil to people who maybe hadn't seen it because, again, it's only out a couple of days. But yeah, we're going hard right now. First of all, I haven't even spoke to you about this movie, Alex. So how did you like it? I know you went to see it with Mex on Thursday, did you?
Yeah, Thursday evening.
Talk to me, bro. Give me your out of 10 first, and then let's go from there. What would you give it?
I give it like a 7.5. I think a 7.5 is pretty good. I had it's not the best, but it definitely is a breath of fresh air. It's definitely got the vibes that we need, but it's definitely not going to take the same way as what everybody believes to be a saving grace. I don't care how much you tell me that, I've seen the flip-flop over and over. You guys are constantly saying, Marvel is dead, Marvel is saved, Marvel is dead, Marvel is saved. Like, I'm nowhere near that. I'm I look on the outside in. I see that everybody who has a rose-colored glasses right now is assuming that because Deadpool did so well, Disney's just going to do the exact same thing with everything else. And I would love to believe that, but they're Disney. So ultimately, I would say that I'm really happy that they did this. I think it's really fun. I think Ryan Reynolds had a great amount of pull. He literally is just I would say, even at this point, I could say a godsend, because we don't get that.
I'll allow it.
We don't get that very many people that can actually manipulate things in a good way. When Deadpool was a thing, Ryan Reynolds pushed for that. He was kind of the main reason why Deadpool even existed. So that's why you see parts 1, 2, and 3, they're so good, because he had so much influence on it.
Yeah.
And of course, yes, and I agree, it did so well because of the characters and actors that played them. But if not, I would say again, if not for Ryan Reynolds, this would have been a bit worse than we could have thought. It could have had the same story, but a shit design. Not to say that the story is 100% great. It's okay. It kind of had a little bit of a ricketiness to it, but it stuck the landing by the end of it. I would say it was still a fun run, and I still think that it deserves to be one of the top Marvel movies. I'm not for those of you listening, I am absolutely not shitting on this movie whatsoever. I it's just, you have to take it as this is a Deadpool movie within the Marvel universe now, because it's now been officiated.
Yes.
It's basically only going to be this type of movie unless we get people that are willing to do the exact same thing that Ryan Reynolds has done. And it's really hard to kind of gauge that. I don't think anybody else is going to go up against Marvel the same way, because Ryan Reynolds is so beloved, and so is Hugh Jackman. I think Hugh Jackman could probably do it, but I don't know anybody else within the actor spectrum that can really get that much pull. Maybe Henry Cavill. I would love to see Henry Cavill to actually put effort into, getting that done correctly, because he was so endearing when it came to The Witcher. And
Hmm.
you felt like it was such a good show. Of course, and we have to change things here and there, because if it was 100% the same thing, it would appeal to the fans. But I think I would say, like, from what you say, the normies,
Hmm.
it would essentially, kind of downgrade on that sense. Like, we would know, we would get
Yeah,
the reference, but
of course.
but for the normal people, they'd be like, the fuck was that for? Like, it just really depends on how you gauge the audience. And that's why I think a lot of the times Disney has started to dumb things down when it comes to Marvel, because they don't think that people will appreciate the the design that the Marvel comics have had, because they have such good stories and whatnot. And we're in the cinematic universe. Like, we're like, especially in Deadpool and Wolverine, like, we have um Earth 10,005, which I think is, like, I really appreciate, because they actually named the universe. It's the Fox universe, essentially.
Yeah,
Um, and I think it worked out well. I love that they poked fun at Wolverine's death, and that it was within the same universe as with Deadpool. And but at the same time, I was like, why is Deadpool still alive? And I'm like, you know what? He has such good regenerative abilities. I think he'd pretty much storm anything. Um,
mm,
so, like, I don't want to, like, keep rambling on too much, but overall, I would say fantastic movie. Had a fun time. The story was a bit rough, but it stuck the landing because of the way that they did things. Um, but overall, I don't think we're going to see another one like this for a while. And I know that you've stated before that, like, the Russo brothers were coming back, and we know about that already.
hmm.
Um, but, like,
That's fact
it's
now,
all
by the way.
right. Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it seems to me like we're putting all of our eggs into maybe like a couple baskets. We don't have a lot of things to put into, because we haven't had any quality things.
yeah.
We've just had a lot of quantity, and
I
and
think
it
that that
just
I think that point exactly, I think, might be why this movie is succeeding so much as well, because
right.
it's like we've had shit for a while now, and like you see something like this movie, which, yes, of course, the storyline is not a 10 out of 10.
Right.
It's obviously not. You know, but we've had such shit leading up to this, that this is such a kind of, like,
Breath of fresh air.
safety net nearly. You're like, "Oh, okay, the guys, they can still do it. We can
Yeah.
still do it. We still can get good comic book movies." Oh, like, and that was, like, part of the thing, like, when I walked out of the cinema, like, me and my girlfriend, we always have a nice chat about the movie, walking back to the car, and both of us were just giddy. We were so excited. It was just like, fuck yes. Like, that feeling again coming out of a movie, especially a Marvel movie, and you're just like, you're excited. You can't believe what you've just seen. Like, you're fucking nearly shaking. There's so much to talk about. And, like, the two of us, and her especially, like, I found it shocking for her to say, she was like, we need to go see that again, because there's so much going on in that movie that we need to see it again to properly take it in. And, like, lots of people, and even Griff in the chat is saying here, seen it twice, liked it. I've heard a lot of people say that they prefer it the second time, which is interesting. I'll let you know, because by the time we probably sit down next, I'll have seen it again. So I'm curious to see, will I like it more the second time? I'm probably gonna. I always view it. I always try and kind of switch my brain off as much as I can when I'm watching a movie for the first time, and just try and enjoy what they're presenting to me. Like, I try not to kind of break it down too much. I'm trying not to, you know, analyze it frame by frame and stuff. There was so much in this movie to take in, and I feel like I'd seen a lot of it already as well in clips and stuff like that. So, like, when I saw a scene coming up that I had seen already that didn't feel new to me, I was like trying to overanalyze that. Like, okay, here's the, like, I was looking in the void, I'm looking in the rumbles, I can see in the guardianship, and seeing Asgard, and seeing all this mad shit. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to pick out all this cool stuff, and I'd say I can't wait for the digital release as well. Absolutely going to pick up the steelbook for this one,
Oh, for
and
sure.
I'm going through this movie like frame by frame nearly. Like, I want to try and pick up all of the Easter eggs, like, because there's so much to unpack from this film. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. But first impressions for me were like outrageous. Like, I was so happy. The movie, and like, even down to like the cinema experience itself, like the screen. I go to the same screen all the time. It's the IMAX screen, in my opinion, the best screen in Dublin. And I usually try and sit in the same seats as well because I just know they're like dead center, they're the best seats in the house. I literally had everything working for me. We were there early, got our food, sat down, plenty of time, watched all the trailers. The movie comes on. The sound is the best I've ever heard. The fucking food was great. Me and her were just in a great mood, and I was just like, "This is it." Like I was like, "This is as good as it's gonna get." Like so I'm like, "Bring it on!" And the first scene, the NSYNC "Bye Bye Bye" playing, and like him like using Logan's corpse to kill all the TVA agents. I was like, "This is potentially one of the greatest openers to a comic book movie ever." Like it hit on all cylinders for me. Like I loved it, and just the fact that like the entire room, not just the seats, like I felt like the entire cinema screen was fucking shaking. Like it was I've never heard an IMAX so loud. And like again, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Like I know some people might have like sensitive hearing and stuff like that. They might have found it a bit uncomfortable. But me, I'm sitting there just like in my element, like loving it. I felt like I was in the fucking forest, like with them. Like, it was just so loud and like the whole room was shaking. It was incredible. But yeah, like some of the story, like again, I did love it. I did love it. Like when I came out, I was like, 9.2 out of 10. I was like, nothing is a perfect 10, but I was like, I'm gonna give it a 9.2. I fucking loved it. Like, bring it on. Can't wait to watch it again. As I'm kind of like sitting and letting the movie cook in my head, I'm kind of thinking, okay, there definitely was some things that I was kind of like, now that I think about it more, I'm like, why did that happen? Why did this happen? And I heard some people talking about it. They were saying like, there was 5 writers on this movie, and it feels like there was 5 writers on the movie because there's just so much going on. But
Right.
like some of the storyline, like why did Vanessa break up with him? I don't understand. And like I know what they're trying to tell us happened. Like, like he couldn't become an Avenger. He was like feeling lost, feeling like unpurposeful. Like, but like why would I just don't understand why she would leave him? Like it felt weird to me, right? Then you get to like the Void. Why is X-23 in the Void? Like I don't understand that. Like what did she do to get there? They don't really explain it. And I know obviously they're talking about Logan's universe expiring because he's dead, but like she obviously has gone on for because like she's aged what 10 years since that movie or something. Like
Roughly, I think.
the
Yeah.
actress anyway or whatever. But like I don't understand because I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe she actually isn't the X-23 from the Logan universe, but then she puts on the glasses and all. I'm like, okay, it is her. It has to be her, right?
Mhm.
But why is she in the Void? I don't understand. Do you know why?
Uh,
Like, how did she get there? Why was she there? Usually, people that go there are there for a reason. They break time or something like that to get there. I just don't understand what she would have done to deserve to go there. So
it,
that was something that I was really thinking about. I was like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I
so
was thinking, oh,
I'm,
maybe the whole Logan universe is dying. But
and
again,
that's possibly the case. But like, I think what it is that maybe there was a there's probably a deleted scene that would explain why she's there, which like I hate when they do that, when there's so many things that you could explain and yet you cut it out because you didn't have time to put it into the movie. um
yeah,
and I think that with X-23, I think, like in my head, I see it as like maybe she was originally approached by Paradox
yeah,
and she was game for a second, or maybe she wasn't game at all and they just pruned her and then she went into the void, which I think would
yeah.
be easy to kind of explain, and like I know Sharky is saying like you could say the same thing for Electric Gambit and Blade, but the idea is that like those things are scrapped. Like you could say that
They're
like
dead.
those.
They're dead universes, right? Like that was like kind of my understanding of it. And like Ryan pokes fun at that. It's like these are all the forgotten heroes and stuff, and the ones that didn't happen. Like the whole Gambit thing. Oh, this could have been me. I could have. They were just poking fun at the fact that like guys, you could have had this as a movie if you decided to make it, sort of thing, which was hilarious. Um, but I always kind of thought that the Blade universe is a different universe, and obviously that universe has been pruned. So then that's why Blade is there. Same with the Elektra universe as well. Like they're not. I know, like they're not actually the Fox universe, if that makes sense. It's not the one universe. The whole Fox like Deadpool universe thing that kind of confused me as well because it's like they've basically confirmed in the movie that the Deadpool universe, the one that lives at the end, 10,005, is the Fox universe, right? Because they're saying Logan and Deadpool are from the same universe,
Right.
but Deadpool, and again, Maybe they just didn't tell us what year it was ever. I'd love to go back and rewatch the first two movies. I don't think there ever is a reference as to what year it is in these movies, but for it to actually be the same universe and for the story to make sense, Logan took place in like 2027 or 2029 or something. It's like in the distant future, and X-23 has now aged like 6 years, let's say, from the events of that movie. So we're talking like that X-23 is from like the year 2035, rough estimate, right? So sorry, I'm reading, I'm trying to read Maniac's commentary. I think he's kind of alluding to the same thing as I'm talking about here, but that the timeline doesn't really make much sense, or else, you know, the Deadpool movie has just been in the late 2020s slash early 2030s without them even really telling us. And I don't know if they did that by mistake or if they just were like, fuck it, we never really said what year it was. So yeah, we're in the future, like, but it just doesn't feel right. It feels like it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I mean, like again, it's one of those things where they probably didn't think about it as well, and you know that's why I see that there's cracks in the story and in terms
Yeah.
of like, you know, what exactly mattered and what didn't matter and why they pulled this and why they did that. And for those, you know, I know that most of us, you know, prefer the Electra from the Daredevil show, but like
She's so
the
good.
idea, right? But this is all based in the Fox universe, so like
Yeah.
we, you know, just keep that in mind. Like it's not because they didn't want to pick her; it's because they needed the people from the Fox universe. That's why we saw Blade. That's why we saw Elektra. That's why we saw Gambit, because they were supposedly going to make a Gambit movie. And
Jennifer Garner looked jacked. She looked great.
she worked
Like
out for that movie.
yeah, she looked fucking good. Like she was in shape. Like she looked really, really good. Not like, and like I enjoyed her in that movie a lot. I actually would have. I'm glad that it was her, because I think it just would have hit a lot nicer if the Netflix version of her showed up. I think people would have just been like, yeah, okay. I don't think they would have got a reaction at all. Like it might have
Well,
been
it
like, oh,
wouldn't.
cool, it's the girl from the Marvel show. It wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever, but it would have just been
No,
like,
not at
oh,
all.
that's a cool nod, you know, oh, it's the girl from the Netflix show. But the fact that it's Jennifer Garner, it's like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like, you know, it's another dead like Fox movie from the early 2000s, and that was the whole point of it, like bringing Blade and all together. Like, I just thought it was perfectly executed. It was so good. Wesley Snipes was incredible. Like, still has it. He's like, I know he's a martial artist in real life, so but he just made it look so easy in the movie. And like, I just sat there just going, bring him back full time. Like, I honestly, I you know, I'm sorry, Mahershala Ali, but just this movie that you're involved with is just dead in the water. I'm sorry. It's been delayed. I just saw today it's been delayed yet again. I think it's getting another director. It's probably getting another fucking rewrite. The movie is doomed, bro. Like with the fucking reception that Wesley has just gotten, it's like, just bring him back. Just do
I
it.
I
Just
wouldn't.
do it, bro. Like, did
I
you see him
wouldn't
getting
like.
brought out on Friday on the stage? Like, he got more of a reception walking out onto that stage than Ryan Reynolds did. Like, it was crazy, man. Everyone was like
Well,
loving the fact that Wesley's back.
well, yeah, because people really like to see like the old cast show up. Like it's a fun,
Mm.
it's a fun bring back essentially. But do we really want to keep pushing this? Like I really don't want to have. It's like the fucking election in the U.S., dude. I don't mean to get political, but I'm like I'm
No, no,
tired of
no,
shit getting
please.
older. Tired of shit
Don't do
getting
this,
older.
bro. Don't do this.
I'm doing it.
Don't.
Doing it.
I can't, bro. I can't. I'm sorry.
No,
Um,
I'm not really gonna speak about that. All I'm saying is that like let sleeping dogs lie.
yeah,
Like
no,
let's
I agree. I would have never said before seeing this. I would have never even thought about bringing Wesley Snipes back. But after that, I'm kind of like, oh, like, you know, at least bring him back for Secret Wars. Like, do something else with him because he's still
yeah,
got it, bro. He's still
I
got it.
can agree with I can
Yeah.
totally agree with
No,
that.
I do want to see Mahershala. Let's do it. Like, you know, give him his chance. He deserves it at this stage. Like, he's been fucked over so much. But yeah, I would love to see. I would love to see Wesley back. Did you like the line that he said? It's like, I'm the only I'm the only Blade motherfucker or something he says.
Yeah, and I
And
love
like,
that because as
some
of
people,
right
some
now,
people,
it's still the
some
same
people
way.
online are kind of taking that like, Jesus, is that them like kind of taking a stab or whatever, or is that them maybe hinting at something? Maybe, I don't know. Like maybe they know something that we don't know. Like, and then because like after the fact, like think about it, that line was said on the big screen, and like 2 days later, we find out that Blade has once again been delayed. It's kind of like, ooh, it's not good timing, you know.
Yeah,
Um, it's kind of scary because like I kind of nudged my girlfriend when that line was said, and I was like, "Oh, is he kind of saying something here?" You know, it definitely felt that way to me.
Yeah, I think it was like he's just taking a jab at the fact that like we still haven't had a movie date. We still
The
haven't.
one and
It's
only,
not even in
baby.
production. It's just been
Yeah,
like yeah, and that makes sense. And who knows? That might also be like kind of a signal that maybe we'll never see it. Maybe they're just trying to make it so that you know it's delayed and delayed, and they're trying to make sure that we don't forget about Blade. But we're eventually going to forget about Blade if nothing happens.
of course. And like Feige only said during the week, he's like they confirmed that it was going to be rated R, and I'm like, yes, thank God. You know, give us as much blood as in that is in Deadpool and Wolverine. But
It's
give
got
us
to be
that in.
tons more.
Oh, I know, but like at least that much, you know what I mean? So like, you know, like I was kind of scared, and we've talked about this in the past, but like, you know, I wouldn't have been surprised if Disney turned around and tried to do the whole like kind of, you know, dusting thing that, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer did, like with killing vampires and stuff. Like maybe try and get away from the whole blood thing. That would not surprise me with Disney. But now that it's R, I'm like, yeah, blood it up, let's go. Like, do it.
Yeah,
Do
of
it.
course.
It needs to happen. Needs to happen.
Like a lot of people don't realize like Marvel's a pretty bloody comic series. Like there's a lot of things that go on, especially the Ultimate Universe. They go fucking ham on that stuff.
It's more Disney, I'm afraid of, though.
Yeah,
Not Marvel. We know
right.
Marvel can do it. Look at Daredevil. You know, look at this movie. Look at fucking the original Blade. Like, you know, that first scene in the nightclub, like, is one of my favorite scenes ever. So fucking good. So
really good.
Yeah. I may what Griff says I may rewatch Blade 2 before HOTD tonight. Blade 2 was good. I think I prefer the first one if I'm remembering correctly. And the third one I think got the worst kind of flack, but I actually really enjoyed the third one, and I thought Reynolds was hilarious in it as well. Sorry, people are asking in the chat about Gambit as well, and I feel kind of the same as Maniac here. I didn't like when he first walked in. I was kind of like, Jesus, that's a bad suit. I was like, oh my god, like it looked awful, and like you know, Channing Tatum's a beautiful man, but he just didn't really look like he was in like really good shape or anything. He wasn't like in like superhero shape, or maybe he is, but the suit just like really made him look chunky or something. But he didn't look great, and it kind of took me back, and I was like, oh god, this is not good. Like I was like, what the fuck am I looking at here? But then when
really
I started
the hair.
Yeah, it just and the helmet just made his head look massive as well. I was kind of like, what the fuck am I looking at here? It just looked really, really weird. But
so
then
bad.
when I started seeing like the power in the cards and stuff and how they like made the cards look, and then when we see the big fight sequence and he starts like blowing people up with the cards and all, and like he's doing the flips and everything, and he whips out the staff. The staff didn't look great now, in my opinion, either. Like it was kind of like neon or something. It kind of looked a bit strange. I preferred the way they did it in you know, the Gambit when Taylor Kinch played him in 2009. And
that
like
guy
he
did
just
a
had
really good job.
I loved him, bro. I love him as Gambit. And honestly, if he walked in the door instead of Channing Tatum, I would have probably been happier. You know, I obviously there's the whole comedy side of it, you know, is great. And like when you kind of take a step back and think about like all of the cameos and you write them down, and you're kind of thinking like, okay, it's like, you know, Chris Evans, massive friend of Ryan Reynolds in real life. It's Reynolds' first time in the MCU. It makes sense. There's a clip from this channel. I'm gonna find it. I swear. There's a clip of me talking about Chris Evans as the Human Torch on this podcast. I said it about 18 months ago, and I basically predicted it play by play. I said he's gonna show up. We're all gonna think it's Captain America, and he's gonna say "Flame on." And that's exactly what happened.
You absolutely did say that.
I gotta find that clip, and I'm gonna do like a kind of, you know, flashback like thing. I'm gonna make a whole short out of it or whatever. But yeah, I predicted that at least 18 months ago, like play by play.
And it did make sense because it's all Fox.
Exactly. But everyone, like, you know, that was such a great thing. But sorry, to go back to Gambit real quick, because we can spend 20 minutes talking about Chris Evans. But by the time we got around to the big fight scene, yes, Gambit was like, he was working, bro. Like there's the way that they did the choreography and everything, and he was just blowing up everything. It was really fucking cool. And obviously, again, the fact that he's such good mates with Reynolds and the comedy back and forth with them probably made more sense for him to be in the movie and them to kind of make fun of the accent and stuff like that. Like it just worked. It worked really well. But yeah, if Taylor Kinch walked in that door, I probably would have been happier. I don't know. It was great though. I fucking loved it, man. I can't wait to watch it again.
I mean, it would have been cool to see more, like maybe both. I think that would have been kind of funny, like just to see two of them. It's like, why the hell did you
try to talk to each other?
Well, like how the hell did you both live? You know, Luck is in our favor. I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't do like I can't do the
yeah.
accent. I'm not gonna try.
James Gambit, don't forget it. Oh, bro! But imagine two of them trying to talk to each other, like doing the exaggerated voice and stuff, and like Deadpool
Oh
kind of
yeah.
standing there, just go, "What the fuck are these guys saying to each other?" There's comedy in there for sure. Um, wasn't a huge fan of Evans as Johnny Storm back in the day when he was young. Yeah, like look, yeah, we may as well just move on to Evans. Like Evans was again. I said this a while ago. I found a clip of us talking about this on our TikTok, but I had said something along the line. I was talking about Captain America, but I said I would be shocked if Evans wasn't in the movie. Like I said that back in February,
Right.
and again, it was another one where it was like, yeah, Gambit. I fully see why Channing Tatum's going to show up. I fully see why Evans is here. Like, you know what I mean? The two of them are doing a kind of bounce back and forth. They're like cameoing in all each other's projects and stuff like that. It's the MCU. Of course, he's going to come in some shape or form. And yeah, like just him being Johnny was just so funny. Like the two of them just, I don't know who wrote that dialogue for Evans, but he just delivered it so perfectly. He was so fucking funny. He stole the show. He did. He did. It was absolutely.
I
He
don't
was.
know if he
He was.
stole the show.
He was. He was incredible.
I
He was
really
incredible.
loved Cassandra Nova. Like that was
She was cool.
insane. That
She
was
was
an
very cool.
insane villain to put up.
Just the way that they like portrayed her powers of her, like just digging into people's heads and all, it was really kind of creepy. It was
Well,
really
and
really cool.
well, and the fact that she's so overpowered, like she could literally like strip. She stripped.
Yeah, she just took his skin off.
Yeah, and it's like it's so much that they could have done with the character, and I think they had to pull back a bit because they were like, oh shit, we made her way too powerful. She's gonna
Yeah,
end
yeah,
up like killing everyone. But then that's why they showed like the little change of heart because of course they need Deadpool and Wolverine to get back to their original universe. Well, Deadpool to
yeah.
his original universe, so that she could see what the hell's going on.
Yeah. I loved Logan's line where he was like, "Charles would have saved you if he knew you existed." It was just
Yeah,
it was powerful, and that's kind of what changed. Like that's kind of what flipped her, because it was just like if he had known that you were here, he would have done anything. He would have traveled across the universe to get here to bring you back. Like powerful,
exactly.
bro. Logan had some fucking amazing like lines in this movie, and like I loved this version of Jackman's Wolverine. Like it was beautiful, man. It was so beautiful. He was so good. Like he was perfect, man. Honestly, like even playing the worst Wolverine in the galaxy, the worst one, he was just fucking amazing. It was perfect. Loved it.
In the galaxy, what are we,
Or
Star
in the,
Wars now?
you know what I mean, in the
I'm
multiverse.
just messing with you, buddy.
Yeah,
No, I get it. Definitely a good take on what he did. I think it's a little bit convoluted, but it also makes sense in the fact that like he was an X-Men that didn't join essentially. Like he may have joined for a second, but then he backed out. So then essentially when they needed him the most, it was too late. So I think it's a really cool situation. I think we could have used a like if they were going to talk about it more,
yeah,
um it's I think they should have done a scene where they showed like, them getting attacked and like who
yeah,
exactly hit them
yeah.
because if it's just the humans, it's not really like it if it's just humans, it's nothing.
I
Unless it's
find it hard to believe that humans rushed into the mansion and killed every single X-Men. I find that hard to believe.
right, which makes me believe it's probably Trask and the Sentinels.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
addition to humans, like maybe they were given weaponry and whatnot, but like we
yeah.
needed something to kind of convey how heavy of a cost it was. Um, and of course, like it just seems like Logan got let off a little too easy. I know that he can defend himself and like he probably killed a bunch of humans and whatnot. So that would essentially mean that like a bunch of humans came in, they probably shot the X-Men full of stuff that pretty much prevented their powers, and then they just murdered them outright, which would have been a brutal scene. I mean, they don't have to go that brutal, but like it would have been nice to see that at least, see the moment that they were about to die and then them crying out for Logan, essentially.
I'm kind of shocked that we didn't see any of like the OG X-Men in the movie. Like I was expecting to see like James Marsden return as Cyclops. Halle Berry as Storm was like one that was like kind of heavily rumored because she was in London at the time that they were shooting and she had the silver hair and stuff. she didn't show up. You know, we didn't get Storm, we didn't get Rogue, we didn't get anybody. Like, you know, Anna Paquin, like, does she do much these days? Like, would she not have been around for a quick cameo? Like,
Anna
you
Paquin
know,
does shit.
does she?
I
I'm not
think so.
taking. I'm not taking shots. I'm just saying.
You're taking shots.
I'm not. But I'm just saying, like, you know, she could have just, you know, done a quick cameo or something, or even just like a flashback sequence or something like that. You know, I had seen, and it was obviously now know it's fake, but there was a picture, and if somebody, I don't know if this was the deleted scene or what, but I saw a picture of Cyclops on the Void, and it looked real, man. I'm gonna see if I can find it now and share it here, just because it's so fucking real looking. That I was like, oh shit, I just saw a spoiler. I genuinely thought I saw a spoiler. It looked real.
Because then if you think about it that way, then they would have had to include everyone from the Fantastic Four. They would have had to, you know, I know that they showed the Fantastic Car, which means that, you know, it's possible that they were there and that Johnny was like one of the last surviving. But I highly doubt that. I think Richards would at least survive. I think the Thing would be in hiding. I think Sue Storm would have been invisible. Like they would have been able to get out of things. And Johnny's the only one that can't really hide himself to or protect himself effectively, especially with Pyro being around. That dude, fucking Darth Maul, Pyro, fucking love that guy. It was so fun. It's so funny though, like
absolute legend.
So funny because he like essentially it makes sense because like Pyro doesn't produce heat or create fire; he has to take it from a source. So when he flame on and like try to attack, you know, just all taken away. I love that the actor for Sabretooth showed up.
So good, bro.
I think that, you know, Toad was awesome.
Can you see this?
Somewhat. Let me make it larger on my end. Yeah,
I saw this and I was like, oh shit, like that actually looks really cool. Obviously someone who made that up or whatever, it looks fake, but or maybe it's a deleted scene or something.
No, you could see it. You could see like the outline there. It's a bit lighter on the edges. So like clearly they posted it in. Maybe it could also be a deleted scene, but like it looks like a little bit tacky. So I would say it's a photoshopped picture.
It's a very good fake. It's a very good fake. Because again, I saw it just scrolling through Twitter, and I didn't want to stay on it too long because I didn't want the spoiler, and I was like, oh my god, I just saw Cyclops. I was like, oh my god, no. Yeah, they got me. Yeah. They got me.
Fucking Azazel was really fun to see.
Bro. He was so cool. Looked perfect as well. You know, I thought when we saw him in the original trailer, I thought, oh, maybe he'll just stand there and, you know, he won't really be too active. But like, you know, they had him kind of popping in and out and like putting money into doing CGI for him and all. I thought that was really cool because I didn't think we'd actually see that. I thought he'd just be kind of a background character that's just kind of sitting there, you know, under the thumb of Cassandra Nova. But it was cool to actually see him fighting. I thought that was fucking great.
Right.
That fight scene was like just full of great moments as well, like the new Juggernaut and everything. And it was great. Loved it.
Dude, to be fair though, I couldn't believe that Juggernaut got killed that easily. Like, so like I'm like, that couldn't happen that easily. The dude's like smarter than that. But then again, it was a Fox version, so like we don't know how tough he actually was.
And wasn't it was X-23 like took his ankles off? Like she chopped his feet off or something? So he can't run.
Which, I mean it is adamantium. It is adamantium blades, so like it makes sense that, you know, that could possibly happen. I think it would be really weird for like an actual Juggernaut to be affected by that. I think he effectively wears like kind of like armor type stuff around him. I'm not sure about his gear. I'm not like a Juggernaut fan, so I can't say for sure.
I think what, like, you know, the fact that she took his feet off and, you know, his power is that, you know, you can't slow him down once he starts running, sort of thing. I thought, you know, yes, take his feet off. You can't use his power. You know, it makes sense. Like, you know, it's like this is how you take him down. Yeah, X-23, bro. Let's talk about her for a minute because again, so many people I see online saying like, you know, she was like underutilized. She should have been in it more. You know, give her more screen time. The fact that she ends up in the Fox universe at the end is interesting. Like she's been saved basically from the, although again the whole timeline thing is actually confusing me because if the universe was dying again, I don't know why she was pruned, but now she's been brought back to her universe. But is she in the past or is she in her current time? Because obviously Wade goes and finds Logan's body at the start of the movie, but has he gone into the future, or is he in the current times? I don't even know. So, like, is there a kind of future version of, and this is kind of back to what Maniac was saying earlier in the chat. He's kind of saying, like, where we leave off at the end of the movie, is there now technically two Logans? Like, are the X-Men still alive? Because, you know, the way in Logan, Xavier kills all the X-Men when he starts, you know, losing his mind and he can't control his powers anymore. Has that already happened? Or has that not happened yet?
Essentially, that's what happened. So
that has already happened.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the whole point of the movie, is that because the Logan from the movie died, and Deadpool is part of
that's disrupting, or that's destroying the timeline because he's the anchor, right?
Right. So by adding a new Logan, it creates a new anchor, which is something that I've told you in the past before that like could happen. Essentially, you could just pull people over from different universes and just be like, "Yep, we're just going to drop them off here," which is kind of funny. I didn't think they'd do it here. I thought they do it elsewhere. So like, it's interesting that they decided to do it for this show, but it makes sense for the plot, only for the fact that, like, you know, they need a Wolverine, so they pulled the one that doesn't have a purpose anymore, and now they gave him a purpose.
Kind of strange that in the Deadpool universe that they haven't spoke about how all the X-Men have been wiped out by Xavier. And if you think about it, it's kind of the cars and everything in Deadpool. Again, I don't want to pick this apart too much because I don't think that they've actually thought about this enough. But in Logan, all the cars are kind of futuristic. Like, you know, the way he's driving that kind of futuristic limo and stuff. You can tell that they're in the future. Like, the tech is more advanced and stuff. Whereas in the Deadpool universe, it doesn't really feel like that. It feels like that universe or that timeline is our current timeline. That's what it feels like. And I don't know if maybe they're just not thinking about this enough or paying enough attention to the timeline. But one thing, sorry, before and I'll let you go. One thing that I didn't like at the end of the movie was that they went back to the Fox universe and it ended all happy. Because I kind of, the original thing that, like, I know, like, I think Feige was saying this like a couple of weeks before the movie came out, was just like, you know, this movie, by the time you're finished watching, you're gonna know where the MCU is going. Like, this movie's gonna set up what's coming next. So I, like, again, my kind of rational thinking on it was that the universe was going to be destroyed and the end was going to be them hopping into 616, and they were going to be, or get them getting transported to Battleworld or something like that, and they're sitting there waiting for everybody else to show up for Secret Wars or something like that. But it's the fact that they went back to their timeline. They saved the fucking world. So the Fox universe isn't dead, and that was like kind of the whole point of this, was to kill the Fox universe, right? And like, even when they roll the end credits, it's like, you know, a beautiful send off to Fox, and, you know, you see young Patrick Stewart and everything. I loved that, by the way. Like, I thought it was amazing. But the universe is still up and about. You know, they're all living happily ever after. So it's like, it leaves me with more questions rather than answering where we're going next. It's like, if that is the case, how do we get them into the 616 from there? Is there going to be another big event and TVA are going to pop back in? Oh, by the way, guys, sorry, you didn't save this universe and now it's about to be proven. Come with me or you're fucked. Like, they're basically going to have to live the same story again. Because basically the same thing is going to happen again, right?
Right. Well, like, see, that's where they kind of wrote themselves into a corner, because that's the whole point of a multiverse. And people think that it's such a downgrade or a downside to do any sort of multiverse type you know, conversations when it comes to these movies. People are like, oh, a fucking another multiverse thing. You know why it's such a fucking slog? Because nobody does it right. Because nobody knows how to do it right. You know, you just take what you saw from the comics and just plaster that there. I guarantee you it's not going to be that hard. But because they're so scared of it, of affecting the original areas, it's like, dude, stop. Like, the whole point of a multiverse is to fuck with other universes. Just fuck with them. Just do what you want. It does, like, who cares at this point? Like, say that there's another Deadpool. Say that there's a different one that exists in the 616. Hasn't happened yet. Maybe it happened later on. And then, like, I don't know, figure it out. Essentially, you know, to spearhead only one Deadpool which now we know there's multitudes of them.
The core.
And they're all in 10,005 now.
Are they?
If you they never went back.
Jesus, that's a scary thought.
That's if they don't talk about that later, that's a plot hole, because there's a multitude of Deadpools. So if we don't see a multitude of Deadpools in Secret Wars when they bring Deadpool from 10,005 over, which I guarantee you they're going to do that, it's going to be like a what the fuck kind of moment.
I think there's going to be a few what the fuck kind of moments, because there is some things in the movie that just doesn't make any sense to me. The ones I've mentioned. Also, to go to the very start of the movie where he has the interview with Happy Hogan. How did he get to 616?
He didn't destroy the watch beforehand.
But the watch only works for time back and forth, right? Not for multiverse hopping.
It was for multiverse hopping.
I don't think so. I thought it was just a time machine, because Cable comes back from the future into the past. It's the same timeline. He never goes to another universe.
Well, then how do you suppose that there was a Ryan Reynolds that got murdered by Deadpool?
I think that's just a fourth wall joke, though. That's not really important, right?
That's a timeline. That's literally our reality.
Yeah, but Cable's tech, right? Should again, I don't really count stuff that happens after the credits as being real, right? Again, when he goes and
you absolutely do everything real. That's the whole point of that. That's why Deadpool 3 happened. They talked about it.
No, I understand why he messed with time, but Cable's device shouldn't be able to make him go from 10,005 to 616 to interview with Happy Hogan. That doesn't make any sense. It's not if he had a TVA tablet, yes, fine. They can bounce between universes. But he said he used Cable's watch. And then when he came back, he says it in the movie. So he uses Cable's watch to go and interview to become an Avenger. He doesn't get the job. He goes back, and then he says he destroys the watch after that and just gives up being Deadpool and becomes a car salesman. Then when he gets picked up by the TVA, the first thing he says is oh, I destroyed the watch after I went to interview to become an Avenger. But the watch shouldn't have been able to take him to 616.
So the way I see it now, if you're talking about it this way, then what it is that 616 split off, created 10,005, and then that's when the events of X-Men occurred. So 616 happens at a certain point, 10,005 splits off, and the X-Men are much younger than what the Avengers are currently. If you want to talk about it that way.
That's because of Cable's watch that happens?
No. That's exactly what you're trying to say. If it's all time-based, then the because you have to think about it this way. If the 616 is considered the prime timeline, the essential timeline that it exudes all of Marvel, which in my opinion is a really dumb idea. You don't want to do that when you call something 616. That means you're talking about the comic universe. You're essentially fucking things up. That's why it's so convoluted now. So because of the fact that they said it was 616, you're now confused at the fact that the X-Men came after the Avengers. The Fox universe, think about it this way. 616 goes along, something happens, boom, it splits off, the X-Men are created, that's 10,005. If you're saying 616 is the main thing, those branches are the different numbers. And so at some point during the timeline, past the Avengers timeline, past that point, is a split off where the X-Men come. So then you're saying essentially that Ryan Reynolds exists in the 616 as himself.
Well, no, because if you're saying that, Deadpool 2, where he appeared as himself, was in the Fox universe. It wasn't in 616.
No. Split 10,005. Went back in time, back into 616. Ryan Reynolds exists in 616. Killed. More shit goes on. He goes back into 10,005.
But it doesn't make any sense how he's able to go around through different universes, though.
Finto, listen.
I'm not getting it, bro. You can explain it again. I'm not going to get it.
I'm trying to explain it to you as best as possible.
I know. I just don't.
Prime. That's why people don't get it. That's why people don't understand. the splits sacred little strand. Think of this as a little strand. Like, yeah, exactly. Like if I could draw a map right now, I would. Wait, can I? No, I can only edit the layout. Essentially, what it is, Finto, is you see a straight line. Imagine a straight line. That's 616. Mm-hmm. All the strands that go out, those are different numbers that come about. It's the exact same timeline that you see, but little things happen in between that cause the split off. And so the TVA was trying to prevent that. Even though there were multiple strands coming through, they were just nearly enough to be essentially the same thing. So because at some point in the 616 timeline, the X-Men came about, or whatever caused, maybe the mutant gene happened to pop up after the events of any of the Avenger movies that you see currently. After all of that is the X-Men stuff that is 10,005. And so that's where Wade Wilson is born. But that also means that he's in a timeline where Ryan Reynolds exists within the 616.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? So
we have to move on, bro. We have to move on. I don't think you're getting what I'm trying to say, and
no, I completely get it. I'm trying to explain it in the way where you would understand. Like it's essentially, see, even Sharky believes.
I think she's just saying that's how we move on.
Oh, whatever. You wanted to talk about timelines. That's how the timeline works.
No, I wanted to talk about universe hopping with a time traveling device, which it just doesn't make any sense because technically with a time traveling device, you're only going back and forward in time. You're not traveling to different fucking universes. That's the point I was trying to make.
Right. So by going back in time, back into the sacred timeline, you're going back into the normal area where the Avengers exist, where Ryan Reynolds exists, where everybody exists here except for the X-Men. Boom, things can happen. Splits, more timelines are created because of that. He's creating anomaly after anomaly, of course.
Yeah, but I would presume that Cable's device wouldn't let him go down another strand. He would have to stick to his own timeline, right?
Which he doesn't he essentially did, if you're thinking about that way.
But how did he get to 616 and meet Happy Hogan and then go back into the Fox universe? It just doesn't make any sense, bro. It doesn't make. I'm not insane here.
No.
Look, I think with this movie, I'm trying to take this a little too serious because I know, like, again, the fucking Wrexham reference again, that's just to real world shit. Like, obviously when Ryan Reynolds when Wade Wilson decides to go back in time and kill Ryan Reynolds, we can't take that seriously. That's just a joke. Like, he's just killing himself before he reads the fucking Green Lantern script. Like, if anything, we're killing like a DC version of Ryan Reynolds there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to like go down that fucking avenue, like, you know what I mean? But it's like,
which we're not.
I know we're not, but like anything that references the real world, I just don't even take seriously. But I'm not referencing the real world here. I'm referencing Wade Wilson going to the 616 and interviewing to be a fucking Avenger and getting turned down and then going back to his own timeline. Or sorry, his own world, his own universe. So it's universe hopping. I don't get it.
I'm just going to say, I'm going to end it with, it's not universe hopping the way I explained it to you. I promise you. But let's move on.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about some San Diego Comic-Con stuff. I will probably want to talk about Deadpool a little more next week as well. I feel like we've only like kind of scratched the surface with it. There's so much to talk about. I don't want to kind of get bogged down and be here for hours. But what do we think about Robert Downey Jr. as Doom? Is this something you like? Do you hate it? Do you love it? The Russos are officially back, although it's not really news. We knew it was coming. I heard today that they got McFeely back as well. He's one of the writers that like wrote like Endgame, Infinity War, Civil War, all the greats. So, you know, I think they're in a really good position. You know, people were kind of saying like, yeah, but if they don't have the writers back, like the Russos are kind of shit on their own because they haven't really done great outside of the MCU. But it's like we have one of the writers back from the great times. We have the directors, and now we have Robert Downey Jr. back. What do we think? Are you loving it, hating it? Where are you with this?
I'm exactly what you see my face is right now.
You don't care. You're dead.
Don't care.
Are you the one person that voted no?
No, I'm not the one person that voted no. There are multiple people that voted no.
Actually, I'm only checking it now. There's been 15 votes on the poll, and it's 27% no. I'm actually kind of surprised by that. So, and maybe that's just because the way I'm viewing this, I think some people are thinking that this is like a permanent thing, that like he's going to be doomed forever or some shit. Like, but the way I see it is like this is just a kind of multiverse variant story that's going to take place up until Secret Wars, and then we're going to have like a kind of soft reboot of the MCU, and then we'll get the real Doom after the fact. That's the way I kind of see it going. I don't see Robert Downey Jr. playing Doom now forever.
Like I agree. Like if Sharky says exactly what's going to happen and that he's going to be behind the mask the entire time, I'm okay with it because you can place anybody afterwards on that. It's the fact that if he takes his mask off, then it officiates that he is essentially an Iron Man like variant that became, Dr. Doom.
Which that was a story in the comics, right? That did happen in the comics.
Right. And I think that because like I don't like it's hard to kind of gauge this mixing and matching kind of situation. It's really tough for me to kind of like jump into that and say like, oh, why is this variant taking over? Why can't we have like our Prime Doom actually being the Prime Doom that handles all the shit that goes on? And then when you tell me it's like soft reboots this or like reboot that, like it's still like that kind of like that cringe I feel of like, oh my God, dude, like can they just write something that is from the comics? Do they have to rewrite history every time? And it's like, because they don't establish that they're trying to make their own kind of spin on things. They're just taking little things here and there. Yeah. And that's what I don't like. If this whole MCU business was essentially its own, like literally its own universe and not 616, I would have been so fucking ecstatic. You could do anything you want to. You can give Moon Knight a little birthday hat and I'd be happy because it's a different universe. I don't give a shit. But like, because they keep touching 616 and they're saying, oh, it's 616, it's like you're fucking with me. You're really fucking with me now. Like I am a Marvel fan. I don't read comics religiously, but I am a fan. I'm not a big fan. I'm just a fan, but like it still fucks with me because I just like, if you're gonna give me like spoonfuls of like 616, that's fun, but like give me a goddamn plate.
Yeah.
Like I want just like I want something like legit. If you're gonna try to go legit, I want legit. But if you're gonna go like your own spiel, I wouldn't give a crap about any of the things that you did. They did the She-Hulk this way. So what? It's part of a different universe. Okay, so it's not the 616 She-Hulk. Then we can start having debates on, well, I think the 616 She-Hulk is better. I think this She-Hulk is better. I think it would have been cool if it was a Savage She-Hulk. It's kind of like when you compare Ultimates with like regular stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you do Moon Knight. Moon Knight was great, but like they keep fucking it, like making him black out, which we've already seen multiple times. Like what? Like if it was a different universe, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But like it's just and I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop in a minute, but like it's that moment where I'm like, I get it. I absolutely get it. He's RDJ is probably the easiest to work with, and he'll work and he'll do a good job. I know he's gonna do a good job. Am I proud of them for picking a guy that we've already had in the past? No. I think that they could have done someone else. I think they could have done someone much, much younger. But if they're going to, but since they're possibly going to take it from a timeline where Iron Man and Doom are the same thing, fine.
So again, I think again, I've been kind of reading people's reactions to it. And some people were saying like, oh, well, maybe he's a Tony Stark that, turns into Doom, he goes evil or something. But the Russos themselves did say on the stage, they were saying when they reintroduced him, they said, who better to play Victor Von Doom? And then they brought out RDJ. So he is playing Victor. He's not Tony. So that makes me think that, okay, he's just going to be a variant of Victor who just looks like Tony. And, that's the multiverse, anything's a possibility, so I'm okay with it. I like, obviously, I think the fact that like Robert Downey Jr. is back that will in it by itself get a lot of asses and seats because they'll just want to see what he's doing. I don't know if you saw the Gwyneth Paltrow comment from today. She commented on his post on Instagram and was just like, I don't get it. Are you a baddie now or something? Like, it's so funny because like she's like just oblivious to what goes on in comic book movies. She hasn't got a clue. But I thought that was so funny. She's like, are you a baddie now? It's so funny. Like, but yeah, like technically that's it. I saw somebody had a great tweet where it was just like, so they brought Robert Downey Jr. back to save the Avengers, but he's not actually going to save the Avengers. He's going to kick their fucking ass instead, which I thought is like hilarious if you think about it. Because it's like, obviously, you know, we go to the end of Endgame, like Tony Stark saves the universe, and now it's like he's going to fuck it up. He's coming back to fuck it up as a different character, like, which I think is hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I'd like to see him in the mask. Obviously, I wonder, are they going to play off the whole Robert Downey Jr. thing though and have him without the mask? And I know this is a hot topic for us all the time, keep them in the fucking masks, but is it going to be like a plot point that, you know, the Avengers all assemble and I can just, again, I'm just picturing this in my head, like, you know, we get to Avengers 5, the Avengers reassemble whoever's left, but you know, I presume we're going to have like Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to come up to meet Doom and the mask is going to come off and he's going to be like, Mr. Stark, is that you? Oh my God, are you alive? And he'd be like, who the fuck is Mr. Stark? You know, something like that is going to happen. I could see it already, bro. I could nearly fucking picture it in my head. And that's why I think like we'll get him without the mask for stuff like that, you know? And I know you hate it. I know you hate it, but I think that's what they'll do, bro. Like, because it's all fan service, right? Like, think about where we are this week. We have Chris Evans back. We have fucking Wesley Snipes back. And then like 2 days after, or like 1 day after the release of the movie officially, Robert Downey Jr. is now back. You know, like I've been saying this for years, like the guys have signed on to do other projects. We just don't know what they are yet. And like, here we are. It's all real. Evans is back in the MCU, technically. Fucking Wesley Snipes is here. Fucking Jennifer Garner popped in. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're doing so much fan service right now. And they've just gone and brought back Robert Downey Jr. It's pretty insane. I think it can work if it's written well. We know it's probably going to be directed well because the Russos and Kevin Feige and Downey and Evans and all these guys, they gel really well together. They work really well together. And like some of the best iterations of some of these characters have been done under the Russos. So I do have faith that they're going to make 2 really good Avengers movies. I really don't doubt them fucking fumbling in this. But at the same time, if they had walked out like Cillian Murphy or something onto stage, it would have just been like, wow, great. But then part of me thinks as well, if we're coming to the end of the MCU before they kind of start again or do a kind of half reboot or whatever the fuck they're planning to do, would it really make sense for them to walk out a new actor and then just be like, okay, in 2 years or 3 years, he's gone again and we have to do it again? It kind of does make sense to bring in a variant, get everybody excited. It's a big name. Everyone's like, holy shit, it's Doom. Everyone's like so excited to see Doom. And then the events of Secret Wars will happen. Doom will probably die at the end. And then, you know, Reed Richards' ship with like the cast of what's going to be the MCU will go off into the abyss, into the New Earth Prime or whatever the fuck they're going to do. And then that restarts the universe or whatever. I kind of think that's where it's going to go. And then when we come back into this restarted universe, everyone that didn't survive just gets rewritten somehow or whatever. And it kind of all starts again. And then we meet like what will be the Doom going forward. That's kind of my educated guess on it. I kind of feel like that's where they're going with it.
I don't like it.
I know, bro. I know. But I think that's
where it's going. But I get it. You know,
I get it too. Like, if you think about it, bro, like when we get to, because what's the date on Secret Wars? 2027. That's nearly 20 years. That's 19 years since Iron Man 1. So I do kind of understand it's nearly time to kind of try and start again, introduce some new characters, recast some people. There's talks of them recasting T'Challa. Again, it'll probably be his son, but it's T'Challa again. There'll be a new Black Panther. You know, you do maybe a new Captain America, Steve Rogers again, a younger Steve or something. I don't know. Like you have an opportunity there to do a lot of the characters again, and then because now it's completely wide open, you maybe get a chance to do Civil War again, and you get to do it like more comic accurate because you have access to all the characters now. Like I was reading when I remember when I read Civil War, I'd seen the movie first, and I went to read the comic then after, and that scene in the comic where like Steve Rogers meets the Punisher, and he's like, "I don't like you, Punisher. You fucking kill people and stuff." Like, and it's just like, I was just like, "Oh my god, could you imagine seeing this in live action? It'd be so cool." You know, like stuff like that, like Daredevil mixing with like Captain America. Like you just like we can't really see that stuff now because of real world shit getting in the way, contracts and characters being sold to different companies and stuff like that. But just imagine what the next MCU could be like when you have all these characters under the one umbrella. Maybe by the time we come around to this, they end up getting Spider-Man back off Sony or something like, and then they could just do everything. You know, it would just be so cool, bro. Be so cool.
Possibly. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like on my end, I'm like, it's just it's more padding than needs to be. I think they just don't want to identify themselves as quitters, which is something that I associate with DC when it comes to on like being live. Like they quit so many of their universes, live action universes, because they don't really get the idea behind these characters, because they keep picking people that are overly creative and want to take creative control. When you have people like Henry Cavill, when you have people like Edward Norton, who like Edward Norton loves Hulk, Henry Cavill loves like whichever character he's playing.
Yeah, he loves it all.
Yeah,
one of us.
Yeah, he's huge. He's a huge nerd, and it's wonderful. Like it's, you know, if you were to have those people, you know, take the helm in certain cases and rewrite the stories and whatnot, and you know, not be combative, maybe try to see like the one end of it, but like, you know, when you're Cavill and when you're Norton, that's why shit went south, because you want so much to have the right story, the right things to occur, because you know those characters so much, because you fucking did the research. And
well, like imagine someone like Cavill being like reading all the Witcher books, playing the games, like he knows who Geralt is.
Of course.
And then he steps onto the Netflix fucking lot and like gets handed a script that's bullshit and it's all over the place and it's not accurate at all. And like he sits there like being an expert in the material and like is not listened to. I can fully understand the frustrations. Like I'd say it's awful. And DC, yeah, they probably do that. Like, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen. Is James Gunn going to fix things? I don't know. Did you see they launched the new logo, DC Studios, and it's kind of like the vintage DC sign, and they're trying to. I think he has the right idea. You know, it's like we want to bring everything together. We want to bring TV, movies, games, everything, anime. It's all going to be under the one umbrella. It's going to be one complete universe, which if they can do that right, that's very exciting. Like, imagine like the next Batman game comes out and it's the dude who's in the movies is actually voicing the guy in the game, and you get to play as Ben Affleck's Batman or whatever. Like, that's cool to me. Like, as a gamer, I think that'd be fucking sweet. And then like, you know, they do an animated movie and it's the same guy again. It's the same dude who we've seen in live action. So you kind of get like really engrossed in a character because it's like he's across all media. So you're playing games as him, you're watching him in anime, you're seeing him on the big screen. Like, I think that's fantastic. But can they do it? Like, can they actually deliver it properly is the question. To be seen, I suppose. But
well, if you've seen history, movie to game does not work well.
Yeah. Sometimes. Like the Spider-Man games I thought were fantastic. Again, maybe I was because I was young, but like, you know,
Which
like
one?
Toby's, you know, Toby's games. Like the original Spider-Man 2 was basically a movie game. It was basically the Spider-Man movie 2, like the 2 game.
Welcome, Carlos Cabral. RDJ as Dr. Doom has got to be interesting. I agree. It is going to be interesting.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And I think just the fact that the casting alone, as I said, will get asses in seats 100%. I
Oh,
just
of
hope
course.
I hope there's a good script, good direction, good action, the whole lot. It being Avengers 5, I think it will. Like, if we think about it, all the Avengers movies have been great. There hasn't been a bad Avengers movie, like, in my opinion. Like, I think Age of Ultron is probably regarded as the worst Avengers movie. But if you go back and rewatch that now, I think that's a good movie. I think Age of Ultron's a good movie. It's not, Ultron was a lot more badass in the comics and so on, but I thought it was a good fucking movie. I
Yeah,
really did.
I think it was still done well. It just really depends on how you handle the characters, and there's so many different characters that you can place in the next set of movies. Like, we don't even know what the hell the plot was going to be for Doom, and I think it's kind of weird that they do this kind of stuff and don't necessarily know why they're placing them there until like they create a story. Like, to me in this case, they don't have a story. They just like, you know what, we need to push out Kang for a bit so that people forget what happened with Kang.
That's a scary
And
thought. That's a kind of scary thought. You've brought up a very good point. They've obviously like, again, they've just announced this. Now, the Russos, I think, are very hands-on, very heavy. I think, I would say they have only signed on if they kind of do have a bit of a vision on what they want to do. Now, again, I don't think that they're writing scripts, but I'd say they have an idea. I would presume that Downey was probably given some sort of pitch. I can't imagine he's coming in blind. But yeah, there definitely isn't a script written. Like, definitely not. Like, they've only just announced that they've got McFeely back to do it. So, like, he hasn't written a script yet. But yeah, that's a scary thought. Like, to think that, like, Downey's in, the Russos are in on potentially just like sitting down in a meeting and just going like, this is what we want to do. Let's do it. That is kind of scary, because I know Cillian Murphy has always said that he will never say yes to a project without reading the script first. He wants to
and
know
that
what he's getting himself into.
and that's why he does such good job when he plays a role.
Exactly. He knows exactly what he's getting into, and he's well prepared going in the door. And that's why I've seen him being asked about Doom, and he's like, I've never seen a script. Show me a script and we'll talk then. So he's not going to be the one that's going to pop out on the stage. Maybe especially now that he's a fucking Oscar winner as well. I don't think his next project is going to be something that he's blind on, that he doesn't even know about.
Right.
So yeah.
I don't know, man. It's it's going to be a strange world we're going to live in the next couple of years. So
yeah, like seeing 2026 for Avengers 5 and 2027 for Avengers 6. I'm just like, bro, that's 3 years away. It's fucking scary to think. Like, I have a 10-year-old stepson. He'll be a teenager when that movie comes out.
which one? The last one?
Yeah, when Secret Wars comes out, my stepson will be 13.
Yeah.
That's fucking scary, bro.
Kind of makes me wonder what would have happened if they had taken things slow, if they had just developed a bunch of different movies with different characters, or even just created like new shows.
Or if they didn't do the shows at all and just stayed focused on movies.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been fine. I think that like a Moon Knight movie could have kept its legs. I think people know Moon Knight enough to at least gauge it.
Mm.
I don't know how well Kate Bishop would have done, like if they would have made that into a movie. I think Miss Marvel could have been a movie if they'd have done it correctly instead of changing the way that her powers work. You never know. Like with Echo, I don't think Echo would have worked. I think we could have scrapped Echo.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. Yeah.
maybe just keep her as like a secondary kind of person that shows up in Daredevil movies.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I was about to say that.
or at least working with other characters in different movies as well, because as far as I know, I don't know anybody who's like an Echo fan. Like they're like, oh my god, I know Echo, like it's so awesome. But when you hear like Miss Marvel, people love Miss Marvel. When Miss Marvel came out, people love that shit. So like it's
Yeah.
different.
I really enjoyed playing as her in the Avengers game. Like, that was
Her
kind of my
powers are
introduction
so
to her.
cool.
Yeah, they were really cool. I'm like, she's like Reed Richards. I was like, this is sick. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the Disney Plus characters could have just appeared in an Avengers movie or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at how they introduced Wanda and Pietro and um Black Panther and Spider-Man. They were all of those characters just appeared in an Avengers movie.
Dude, they threw away Pietro so fucking fast.
We didn't see it coming. Literally his little catchphrase. You didn't see that coming? Yeah, we didn't see your death coming, bro, because it was quick. Yeah, that was grim. And I wonder, was that partly to do with something to do with Fox? I'm sure there was some real world bullshit that got in the way of them using that character full time. Because like technically he's a mutant, right? So
yeah,
I wonder if they could have just borrowed the character temporarily or something like that to make Wanda work or something. I don't know. But
I mean, Wanda's also a mutant. It's just they didn't want to like showcase that like excessively. Yeah. Like maybe they just didn't know what to do with Quicksilver, just like you said.
Well, I think again like there's been live action Quicksilvers in and around that time as well. Like obviously we had Evan Peters playing Quicksilver at the same time, if I'm not mistaken. So but there was no Wanda kind of active in the Fox universe, so maybe that's why they were allowed to keep Wanda or something. I don't know. And it made more sense for Wanda to kind of go on by herself, but having two Quicksilvers at the same time might have been a bit weird or a bit confusing for some fans.
See, and this is where the problem lies, man. Like when you bring people that were not considered mutants into a world where like they probably should have been mutants. Exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's just crumbling things on the inside. You see all the cracks. You see everything that goes on in between. And so that's what makes me really like still really on edge. I really like Deadpool again. Like I really did. I really enjoyed all the fan service that we got from it. I think it did well. Clearly they're going to get a lot of feedback for the fact that Hugh Jackman put on the cowl, which is what I've been wanting for the longest time.
That was cool, bro. That was really cool.
Dude, and like
did you like it?
Of course I did. Like
did it
you
look
showing
cool
me that. It did. It looked 100% cool because that's fucking what he is.
No, I thought it was great. I saw some people saying it kind of looked a little off, but I thought it was brilliant. I fucking loved it.
So like we know what Logan looks like without the cowl and with the cowl. He's taking it off in the shows. He's taking it off in animated shows, in live action. It doesn't matter. Like we've seen it. It's something that he does. So if he takes it off or if he leaves it on, it's give or take. But I like when he has it on, especially when he's in combat.
When it makes sense. Makes sense. Hide your identity, all this sort of stuff. You know, you're in battle mode, put the fucking helmet on. You know, that's what these guys do. You know, that's it. Like, you know, like Wade doesn't need to wear the fucking mask, but he wears it. Like, you know,
he wore it the whole nearly the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed every single second of it. I knew it was Ryan Reynolds because I could hear his voice. I know that's a distinct voice, but he made me think it was Deadpool. It was so fun. And then when you saw, you know, Hugh Jackman in certain cases when he was playing as Wolverine, like you felt like he was Wolverine, but when he put the cowl on, it's like, it's no longer Hugh Jackman for a moment. It's Wolverine. We're seeing a character, and that's the whole point of like acting. You don't want people. Yeah.
You know, the bit where they smashed out the back of the bus and it's like the slow-mo shot and it just looked like a panel out of a comic book. Like it was beautiful, bro.
So cool.
Yeah, it really was.
And then they had the reference to Stan Lee in there as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it like even at the end when you see like the final moment between them and they hold hands together essentially and cause the climactic ending of the scene.
Yeah.
He was still wearing the cowl.
Yeah. That was cool. God, he was really jacked. Cool. He was jacked, bro.
He was Hugh jacked, man.
Yeah. Like he's like 54, dude.
He works out like he does. He's terrifying. How is he terrifying?
It's to get into that shape at that age, and like honestly, I'd be fairly certain saying that there's steroids involved, done correctly under, you know, doctor supervision and stuff, but can't be good for the body, like especially at his age. You know, he's the type of guy that when he's not Wolverine, he's obviously, you know, he doesn't let himself go, like, but he wouldn't be at that kind of physical perfection and to like, you know, do a round of steroids probably and then 6 months in the gym probably 2 or 3 times a day training his absolute ass off in his 50s, like, you know, I don't think that can be really good for your health in the long run. Like, you know, you're probably putting a lot of strain on your heart. I've nothing but respect for the dude. I love him. Like seeing him like that, like it was inspiring, man. Like, you know, like when I see somebody in his 50s and I'm like, God, if I could look half as good as that when I'm 54, like Jesus Christ, like that is just something to strive towards. And I don't know if that's just me, but I see things like that, like, and that's kind of why I love this stuff. Like, you know, I like being inspired, and I'm just like, you know, that makes me want to hit the gym harder and try and get better and get in better shape and be a better person, like seeing stuff like that, which is probably weird, but
dude,
that's the magic of this media. Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, like he probably doesn't do like all the stuff that he used to do, but he still works out on a daily basis.
Yeah, you know,
He
and
still
you can see it. He still has his biceps and stuff like that. Yeah, and he
still believes in the
still
pump.
looks pretty big. Yeah, facts. I love Arnie, man. He's a legend.
He's so good. Like,
so good,
there's never gonna be another one like him.
True. Did you know? I don't know if you watched his Netflix documentary. He had like a Netflix series on his life. Like one was like his early years, and then like his political career, and then his acting career and stuff. But apparently, the Hummer was like designed for him originally. Like he was like the original kind of inspiration of that car, and like they only wanted him to kind of do the marketing and stuff for it. And I was like, holy shit! Like we have Arnie to thank for the Hummer. Like it's such a wild concept. Like they wanted to get a car onto the streets and like pictured it as something that Arnie would drive, which is why it was like all military looking and everything. Like, and I'm like, that is so cool. Imagine being that person that you're like, you influence like the world in that way to like basically create a car. Like it's badass, bro.
It's really badass.
I love Arnie. I really do. Might wrap it up for the week here. I got an early start tomorrow. I got to get off. It's like midnight for me, but you're not around next week. So
no, unfortunately.
Week after, which is
looking
at
what is the week after?
The 11th of August.
Okay, cool. I think shit. I may need to talk to you about that. My anniversary is coming up, so
okay. Well, look, we'll figure it out. But realistically, we'll probably be live sometime in the next 2 weeks, and we'll probably have the last 2 episodes of HOTD to talk about, so we can kind of review the season 2. So that'd be fun, and kind of I'll definitely want to talk about Deadpool again. I'll have seen it again. I'll probably have some more to kind of dig on that one and any other kind of nerdy news in between. Guys, if you're watching us, thank you. If you're listening to us on a replay, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think of RDJ as Doom, and did you like Deadpool and all that beautiful stuff, and smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Take it easy. Bye now.
Later, everyone.
Bye.